The landscape of true crime storytelling was, irrevocably altered on October 17, 2025, with the release of the documentary film The Perfect Neighbor. This is not a story of entertainment, it is a document of profound failure and a testament to a life unjustly taken. The film chronicles the tragic and avoidable death of Ajika A.J. Owens, a black mother of 4, at the hands of her white neighbor, Susan Louise Lawrence. Directed by Geeta Ghanbir, this film steps away from the sensationalism often found in the genre. It instead presents a stark, almost clinical examination of the events that led to a horrifying act of violence, forcing viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about the world we inhabit today. The Perfect Neighbor serves as a vital historical record, capturing a specific moment in time and space, Ocala, Florida on June 2, 2023. The film introduces us to A.J. Owens, a vibrant mother deeply devoted to her children. We also meet Susan Lawrence, her neighbor, a woman who, over the course of nearly 2 years, repeatedly used the police as a tool of harassment against Owens's family. The documentary meticulously lays out the foundation of this conflict, not as a simple dispute between two individuals, but as a symptom of a much larger societal disease. It asks us to look beyond the single act of violence and see the long, slow burn of racial animus and systemic indifference that made it possible. The film's power lies in its unflinching commitment to the truth, presented through the cold, objective lens of surveillance. By almost exclusively using police body camera footage and personal doorbell camera recordings, the documentary strips away narrative artifice. There are no dramatic reenactments or speculative voiceovers. Instead, the audience is placed directly into the reality of the situation, becoming a silent observer to the escalating tension and the eventual tragedy. This choice is deliberate, compelling us to analyze the evidence for ourselves and to understand how a series of seemingly small complaints could culminate in the loss of a human life, a mother, a daughter. This documentary is more than a summary of a crime, it is an indictment. It is an indictment of a system that failed to protect a black family from persistent, racially charged harassment. It is an indictment of a culture that allows anger and prejudice to fester until they erupt into violence. The film does not offer easy answers or a comforting resolution. Its purpose is to present the facts as they were recorded, leaving the audience with the heavy weight of what has happened and the urgent question of what must be done to prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. It is a difficult watch, but a necessary one for our times. The heart of The Perfect Neighbor is the story of two people whose lives became tragically intertwined. Ajika A.J. Owens was a mother whose world revolved around her 4 children. They were her joy and her purpose. Susan Louise Lawrence was her neighbor, a woman who perceived the sounds of those children playing as a personal affront. The documentary painstakingly documents Lawrence's pattern of behavior over a year and a half. She made numerous calls to the police, complaining about Owens's children being on or near her property. The film's footage reveals the nature of these calls, often laced with racist slurs and vitriolic anger directed at the children for simply being children. This was not a balanced neighborhood dispute. The police body cam footage shows officers repeatedly responding to Lawrence's calls. Their interactions with the Owens family are telling. Instead of addressing Lawrence's clear and documented harassment, the police often advised A.J. Owens to keep her children away, to de-escalate, to manage the situation. The burden of maintaining peace was placed squarely on the shoulders of the victim of the harassment. The community's only call to the police about Laureen Shea was the one made after she had already fired a fatal shot. This systemic imbalance is a central and honestly devastating theme of the film, illustrating how institutions can fail to see aggression when it comes from one source and not another. The conflict reached its breaking point on the evening of June 2, 2023. According to the accounts pieced together in the film, Lawrence confronted Owens's children, throwing an iPad at one of them and allegedly striking him with a skate. For any mother, this would be the final straw. A.J. Owens did what a protective parent would do. She went to her neighbor's door to demand an explanation, to confront the person who had harmed her child. She knocked on Susan Lawrence's door, a door that remained locked. This simple act of a mother defending her children was met with unimaginable violence. Behind that locked door, Susan Lawrence made a choice. Instead of speaking, instead of calling the police yet again, she picked up a gun. She fired a single shot through the door, striking and killing Ajika Owens. The most heartbreaking detail, captured with chilling clarity in the film, is that Owens's 9-year-old son Israel was standing right there beside her. He witnessed the murder of his own mother. This moment is the brutal climax of the long simmering conflict, a devastating conclusion to a story of unchecked rage and the fatal consequences of seeing a neighbor not as a person, but as a problem to be eliminated. The Perfect Neighbor is a masterclass in evidentiary filmmaking, where the camera is not a storyteller but a witness. Director Gita Gondbir made the critical decision to build the narrative almost entirely from existing footage. This includes the extensive archive of police body camera videos from their many visits to the neighborhood, as well as the doorbell camera recordings that captured the interactions between the two households. This raw, unpolished material gives the film an undeniable and, honestly, harrowing authenticity. We are not being told what happened. We are seeing it unfold in real time, with all the chaotic, mundane, and ultimately terrifying details left intact for us to process. The film's structure is divided into two distinct parts: the slow, agonizing buildup and the explosive, heartbreaking aftermath. The first half immerses the viewer in the escalating tension, showing call after call, confrontation after confrontation. We watch as the system fails to intervene meaningfully. The second half is even more difficult to endure. It shows the immediate moments after the shooting, the arrival of paramedics, their desperate attempts to comfort AJ's son, and the raw, unfiltered grief of a family being torn apart. The film includes the moment the children are officially told that their mother is not coming home, a scene of almost unbearable sorrow. This unflinching approach was not a decision made lightly. The film was created with the full cooperation and insistence of A.J. Owens' mother, Pamela Diaz. In a powerful statement, Diaz invoked the legacy of Mamie Till, the mother of Emmett Till, who famously insisted on an open casket funeral so the world could see what had been done to her son. Diaz expressed a similar sentiment, believing that without this film, without showing the unvarnished pain, her daughter's death would be dismissed as just another dead black person. She demanded that the world bear witness, ensuring that her daughter's story would not be sanitized or forgotten. By using this footage, the documentary forces a conversation about the themes of racism, anger, and justice. We hear Lawrence's racist language directly from the recordings. We see the frustration and fear in A.J. Owens' face. We witness the procedural, almost detached nature of the police response. The film doesn't need to editorialize on the presence of racism or the failures of policing because the evidence speaks for itself, loudly and clearly. It transforms the viewer from a passive consumer of a story into an active member of a jury, presented with the cold, hard facts of the case and left to draw their own conclusions. Upon its release, The Perfect Neighbor was met with overwhelming critical acclaim, earning a near-perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes and generating significant discussion for major film awards. Critics praised its powerful direct approach and its refusal to shy away from the brutal reality of the story. The film was hailed as a landmark achievement in documentary filmmaking, one that pushes the boundaries of the true crime genre. It moves beyond simple crime reporting and becomes a profound piece of social commentary, holding up a mirror to a society grappling with deep-seated issues of race, rage, and the interpretation of justice, particularly in the context of laws like Florida's Stand Your Ground defense. However, the film's very power has also ignited a fierce debate among critics, audiences, and filmmakers about the ethics of its methods. The use of such raw, traumatic footage, especially scenes involving the profound grief of children, has led to questions about voyeurism and the consumption of real-life suffering as content. Is it ethical to watch a child learn of their mother's death for the sake of a documentary, even one with a noble purpose? This discussion places The Perfect Neighbor at the center of a cultural reckoning with the true crime genre itself, a genre that has faced increasing scrutiny for its potential to exploit tragedy for entertainment. The reaction from the community and A.J. Owens' family provides a powerful counterpoint to these ethical concerns. For them, the film is not an exploitation, but a validation. It is a permanent record of their pain and a powerful tool for advocacy. Pamela Diaz's insistence on including the most difficult scenes underscores a belief that the only way to force change is to make people profoundly uncomfortable with the status quo. The film has become a rallying point for activists and community leaders calling for reforms in policing and a re-evaluation of self-defense laws that can be used to shield acts of aggression. Ultimately, The Perfect Neighbor transcends the category of a simple documentary. It is a cultural document, a legal brief, and a memorial. It forces us to ask difficult questions about ourselves and our communities. How do we respond to hate? What is the responsibility of law enforcement when faced with persistent harassment? And as consumers of media, where is the line between bearing witness and participating in exploitation? The film offers no easy answers, but its lasting impact lies in its power to start these essential conversations, ensuring that the story of Ajik A.J. Owens is not just remembered as a tragedy, but as a catalyst for change.